Hello crafty peeps, welcome to my first YouTube video. I thought I would start with doing some honeydew stamp cards. So I'm going to use the falling leaves and the flowers for design. I'll stamp them out onto paper just so I can see what they look like and what idea it was. Now I've always used, when I've used the falling flowers one, I've always used it so it was that way up. But reading the name, falling flowers, oh, it's meant to be used that way up. So I'm going to do something slightly different with it this time. I'm going to do a stamp onto acetate and create the flowers that way, and then layer them up, glitter, bit of pearl drops. I've got some of these, these have just arrived. They're stamps by Chloe, Sparkalicious Glitters. It's really chunky stuff. I don't know, we used to have really chunky when we first started out with crafting, and then it went really fine, and now it's gone back to chunky again. But it seems to be in vogue, so we're doing it. Also going to be using the Wow embossing powders, the sparkly ones. So I've got Black Glint and Sparkling Snow. I'm using honeydew sticky glue and Versamark to stamp my flowers onto acetate, although you could use your honeydew mixed media and a foam block, whichever you fancy doing. Okay. Right, the first thing we need to do is cut out your pieces of card, your backing card. So I've got just plain black card, which is 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches. Plain white card, which would be the one with the embossing glitter on it, and that is 6.25 inches square, and then the smaller one, which will have the main stamp on it, will be 6 inches square. I'm going to put this on an 8x8 card, but obviously with the sizes you could only because the main stamp, that's the 6x6, fits nicely in there. It also fits my Misty nice, so that's why I'm doing it that size. Obviously depending on what kind of stamp you've got, you can do whichever you like. So I'm going to be using the Versamark, well used as you can see, and I'm just going to go around the edge, making sure that's got good coverage on there. And then open that first, and then we are going to sprinkle on there. You can see the glitter in that, really pretty. Okay, now I am just clean my hands because when this stuff is obviously still warm, it's quite sticky, so you do get it all over your fingers, which may be why I ended up with the fingerprints last time, but we'll find out. So what I'm going to do now is put that under something nice and heavy, and then it will flatten it. Okay, so I've got a stamp in my Misty, which is there. I've already lined it up. I won't press it down because I did have ink on it before, to where I wanted it. Now I'm going to use VersaFine ink. You could use Versamark and then the black embossing powder, but I prefer to have a nice solid black background in case the embossing glitter doesn't cover everything. Personal preference, completely up to you, but this is what I'm going to be using. This is quite a juicy ink pad, it does seem to hold quite good ink in it. The only reason I'm using the Misty is because if it misses anything, I can always restamp it before the ink dries. It shouldn't miss anything, but let's see. Yeah, I see it's done a couple of bits there where it's missed it just slightly. Just straighten that back out again. Okay, press it down in the middle of the flowers. go, lovely. Right, so now we're going to take it off of there, put that to one side, and put in our embossing glitter. So it's the same black as we used for the edging a minute ago. Right, one thing I should have said to do is to use your anti-static pad, which I forgot, but it shouldn't be too bad because we're going to cover most of it anyway. So again, with the embossing glitters, you need to move the heat straight away. There we go. Right. Okay, so we have that bit. Right, the next thing we need to do is our sentiment. I've got out in my little craft stash this stamp that I haven't even used yet. I'm going to make it a Christmas card. So the snowflakes are Kisses from Heaven by So Susie Stamps. Can't remember where I bought it from, but obviously the website links. Right, okay, so I've done the same thing with the sentiment, stamped it out with the VersaFine and then the Wow embossing glitter. Wow embossing glitter. It's really difficult to say sometimes. The next thing we're going to do is to stamp out our flowers onto acetate. Now I'm using heat resistant acetate. This is Crafter's Companion. I just got it from a cheaper store, so I got it slightly cheaper than they actually do it in there. But it's all the same stuff. Anything that is heat resistant, because of course if you try and heat normal acetate, it will crinkle up and you've got more chance of burning it and setting fire to your craft room, which isn't fun. Now the amount you need to be doing, so we need the snow, the sparkling snow one this time, as well as the glint, and you are going to be using the flowers for design section of this. So we're only using the flowers. I haven't gone with the petals or anything. I use those on another card. So in the white, which I recommend doing the white first, because obviously you want to use one piece of acetate, that just means you're not going to be mixing them up too much. So you want one of each size flower. Then in the black you want one medium and two small. Now I have everything stamped out except for my two small ones, so I'm just going to do that on the side there and you can see that. Okay, so again the first thing we need is our anti-static powder. Put that on that corner. Okay, and we are going to need our stamping block. Now I've naughtily put one on each side on here. The only reason I put a bit of tape on is so I can find it, because in a mess of everything, a nice clear block you can't see. So we need our Versamark, and then we are going to be doing the small one, which is that one, so we need two. So just jump in there. And there. Oh, I might do an extra one. What I would recommend doing if you've not used acetate very much is to do one more flower than you need to. Sometimes when you're cutting it out, you could cut through something you didn't want. When you're doing, that's fire alarm going off, husband's cooking dinner. Just having it ready for me in a bit. We've only been in this house for 3 months and someone sillily put the fire alarm in the kitchen. So of course every time we cook dinner it goes off. Right, so I've done two of the small flowers. This one obviously will be rubbish, and then I just need to heat them. Now again, it's the same as you would do with the paper. You still need to move it quite quickly. My heat gun's quite warm, so this isn't going to take very long at all. Okay, so I'm cutting them out. Now obviously as it's acetate, you don't necessarily have to be very close to the lines or anything like that like you would do with paper. You've got to be really careful, but on these you can pretty much just go quite quickly round, obviously without chopping your fingers off. and doing it on the Scan and Cut, I think you would have trouble with it reading all of it because it's shiny. I haven't actually tried it on acetate, I must admit. I know it does cut acetate, but I'm not sure about it scanning it in and reading it. I'll have to play with it. Now I'm going to snip into the edges on this one, just so that I've got more flexibility when I shape this flower in a minute. Okay, right, so I have, check off your list. Oh, I'll get a bit of paper out so you can see. So we have one white, big white, one medium white, and one small white. Then we have one medium black, which I'll show you how to do that in a second, and two small black. Okay, so let's do the white one first. I haven't cut into the edges here, so let me just cut into that bit. And then all we're going to do is fold each petal in half lengthways and put a crease into it. And that's about pretty much all you can do with acetate, especially this small. But it just gives it a little bit of raised air. And we're going to do the same on one of the black. Let's find the one that I cut into. There we go, that one. And then if you didn't cut into it, as soon as you fold it, you're only going to be folding half the petal. So I know that Amanda cuts into them when she makes her flowers, when she does it out of paper, so obviously it's the same kind of thing happens with everything else. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is to build up the flowers onto the card. Do these bits first. So where are my tweezers gone? Of course they've disappeared, don't they always? There they are. Okay, so I'm going to take this all off. And I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back of these, A, to help it be a little bit repositionable, but also because, like I said before, as soon as you add embossing powders on it, it will curl up a bit, so this will help hold it flat. Okay, so now we want to add our flowers, so we're going to do a little bit of glue, a lot of glue apparently, in the centre, just offset it with the one that's underneath. Then we're going to do the same with the other white one because I want to slightly overlap it, so I'll do the glue on the bottom of this one. Again, going to overlap like that. So, although these seem to be moving around quite a bit, the glue will stick on there. It's just that while it's wet, it's quite movable. And then we're going to do the smaller one first, I think. So, glue on there. And I've already put the glitter in here. And then okay, and all I've used the Stamps by Chloe Sparklicious glitter in the centre of them. And the last one is the little black one. Now we're just going to stick that there, like that, and a little bit of glue on the bottom. That. There we go. Now that's that bit. Right, and then the last bit on there, well, second to last bit I should say, is to use the liquid pearls. Now we're using the white opal. So these little holes here, I'm just going to fill Get underneath that one. There we go. Oh, on that side. And then this one. I've got some of these, they're sparkly dots. I can't remember who makes them, but I got them from the range, so I'm pretty sure you can still get them anywhere. They come in 2 different sizes, but I just want to use the little ones for this. So I'm just going to put 3 in the corner. Like that. And that is our card finished. Hope you like, and I hope you have a go at some of the techniques. Thank you for watching. Bye.